today is working in Krishna consciousness. Because many of us work, and there's so many instructions on how we can work in Krishna consciousness and so on. So, are you able to see my slideshow, Bhaktivinoda Prabhu? Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, yeah. So, working in Krishna consciousness, making the connection every day. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll look at chapter 5, verse number 10. Brahmanadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti ya lipyate na sapapena padmapatram ivambhasa. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Purport. Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the three modes of material nature, technically called the pradhana. The Vedic hymns, Sarvam Heta Brahma, Mandukya Upanishad 2. Tasmad etad Brahma Nama Rupam Annam Chajayate, Mundaka Upanishad 119. And in the Bhagavad Gita 14.3, Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma, indicate that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman. And although the effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. It's a little bit technical, just try to follow along. Probably if you could get everyone to mute them, that'd be great. Yeah. An echo, okay. In the Ishopanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna. And thus everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body being a gift of the Lord for carrying out a particular type of action can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reactions. Exactly as the lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita 3:30, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya, resign all works unto me, Krishna. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses, but a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you, assembled Vaishnavas, and seek your kind blessings, that we may read Srimad Bhagavad Gita together. So this verse, I'll read it again in the English translation. Krishna is giving this analogy. Krishna himself, he gives many analogies in the Bhagavad Gita. Here, this is yet another analogy. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So let's take a look at this, this water on lotus leaf. The water droplet falls on the leaf and just rolls off like a ball. The leaf remains magically dry, even as the water is sitting on it. That's amazing. Now, it is not beneficial for the leaf to be wet. For the photosynthesis to work properly, you have all the water there, it messes up their whole system. So the leaf needs to always remain dry, even though it's actually living in the water. So what phenomenon allows this to happen where the water just rolls off? And when you touch the leaf, there's no wetness at all. So how that works in nature, right, is that the surface of the lotus leaf has what they call a hierarchical rough structure. It's not smooth, it's actually rough. And if you look in this, the image here, where they've really zoomed in with the microscope, you can see that that rough structure, it discourages wetting. And the tubules shown in C over here, there's tiny, tiny tubules. They're made of a wax that contains what's called non-polar methyl groups. So non-polar wax, it does not connect with water, which is called a polar substance. So it just never touches it. Just by the nature of the leaf, the way it's built, the way it's oriented. It's quite amazing how nature works. So Krishna gives this analogy. The water does not really affect the leaf, even though it sits on it. So what is he trying to say? What is the message? He says, Lipyate na sapapena padma patram ivambasa. That you can remain unaffected by sinful action as the lotus leaf is untouched by water, even though it's touched. Lipyate na sapapena. One does not get implicated in any sinful reactions when one works in Krishna consciousness. It is possible to be in this world, to be engaged in working in this world, and still be beyond contamination by sinful reactions. Right? It is possible. Not only is possible, it's wanted. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, this is how I want you to work. So how exactly, this is the question, right? How exactly can I be, quote unquote, beyond contamination by sinful reactions? The moment I step out of my bed, I start accumulating reactions to my actions. Everything I do, right down to my choice of soap to wash my face, to my breakfast, and then going to my office job, or to the way I deal with my coworkers, how I talk to them, and my actions at work itself, and then how I interact with my family members. Am I unnecessarily harsh with everything? How I conduct my business, even how I file my taxes. All that has a reaction. Some reaction will be pleasant, and some reactions will be unpleasant. But reactions will certainly be there. And reaction means contamination. That contamination leads to more reactions and increased misery in this life and in the next life. It's a pretty bleak picture, actually. Lipyate na sapapena. It says, it should be unaffected, just like lotus leaf. How? It's simple, by giving up the quote-unquote material and taking up the quote-unquote spiritual. This is, you give up material, you take up spiritual, simple, right? But what is this spiritual that you're talking about? All I can see here around me is matter. All I can work with is material. I look at my own body, I see it as material. And you tell me that I'm not this body, but this is all I can see, this is all I can feel. What is this quote unquote spiritual concept? What is that? Sri Prabhupada explains how actually everything is Brahman or spirit. Now we're going to go back to the purport we just read. Even in this world, we see that we see everything is actually Brahman. That's what Krishna is saying. Sarvam khalavidam Brahman. Everything is spirit, right? It says over here. The material world is some total of manifestation of three modes, right? Technically called pradhan. The Vedic hymn Sarvam Hetad Brahman, Tasmad Etad Brahmanama Rupamannam Chajayate. And also in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma indicate that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman, which is actually spirit. Although these effects are differently manifested, they are not different from the cause. So this is when you start scratching our head and you say, okay, now I'm confused again. Is anything material then? If you say Saram Kalavidam Brahman, everything is spirit. But then again, we're saying there is a material world which is different. So which one is it? If everything is Brahman, then what is the distinction between material and spiritual? What am I missing here? The key thing, if we read the purport further down, we'll see the key, the answer to that. Right? In the Ishopanishad, it is said that everything is related to Supreme Brahman or Krishna. Ishavasamidam sarvam. Most of you know this verse. It's the opening verse, the first verse of Ishopanishad. There's an invocation, Om Purnamada. After the invocation, verse number 1 is Ishavasamidam sarvam. Everything belongs to Krishna only. And if you know this perfectly, that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the owner, everything is engaged in the service of the Lord. See, I've highlighted this. This is from the purport. And therefore, you'll have nothing to do with the results of your activities if you engage everything in the service of the Lord. A person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is a property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service. So what makes something material versus spiritual then is consciousness and application. Two things, very important. What is the distinction, this distinguishing criteria to consider this is material, this is spiritual? Two things, consciousness and application. How am I conscious about it? What is my perspective when I approach it? That's my consciousness. And what am I using it for? What is the ultimate aim? That is application. So both of them are very real. Your motivation, your consciousness, your understanding, you have to bring that with you. And then also what you're doing, how you're applying that understanding. Those two things make it spiritual. That's the only difference. That's why we can say Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman. Everything is Brahman. So it's the consciousness application. I'll give some examples here. So one can be working as an office worker or a construction worker or a teacher or a farmer or a doctor or a pujari or book distributor. Doesn't matter. If one does the work selflessly for the sole aim, singular aim of pleasing Krishna. I'm doing this today so that Krishna will smile at me. If we go with that consciousness. And I know Krishna will smile at me because he likes it when I do this. If we do it for the sake of pleasing Krishna and being detached from a sense of ownership, a sense of selfishness, a sense of that I'm going to enjoy it independently, if free from that, then that work becomes spiritual. Even the office work and the construction work. Some of these are more obvious because your pujaris, directly serving Krishna. But we can do that other places too. See? The difference is the consciousness and the application. That's how we work in Krishna consciousness. So what are the key points that make it spiritual? The work should be done selflessly. In other words, no motivation for personal gratification. If we cook something nice, we offer it to Krishna for his pleasure. And then we get the prasadam, we honor the prasadam. Our needs of gratification get taken care of in a very sattvic, very uplifting way. We need to eat anyway. And we want to offer Krishna nice things. So we get to eat nice things. We don't do it for ourselves. We do it for Krishna as a means to serve him. Point number 2, in a detached manner. In that sense, what does detached mean? Detached means this is not mine. Yes, it's under my care. Somehow Krishna has given me a situation where it is under my dominion, but it's under my care. Like our children, they're under our care. You see, our resources. So we have some access to some skills. We have access to some money. We have access to some land. Anything. We have to recognize, even my body is not mine. What to speak of these other things around me that I have been given control of and influence over? It's not mine. It is yours, Krishna. The phone that I'm looking at right now, or the computer screen I'm looking at, this is yours, Krishna. I understand my name is on it, but actually it's yours. So if we go with a detached manner, that's where the consciousness comes in. We're detached from the sense of ownership. So we don't own it. And then, of course, we are doing it to please Krishna. Now, the key point here, if you want to do something to please Krishna, we have to know what pleases him. And we have to avoid things that do not please him or cause him displeasure. You understand? So we want to do what pleases Krishna. And in order to do that, we have to know what he likes, what he doesn't like. And we want to do it with an aim to develop our own love for him. That's our goal. In Krishna consciousness, it's our consciousness, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We have to realign our consciousness to be with Krishna. We have no other business in ISKCON other than realigning our consciousness. And what is the goal of that? To develop love. That love is inside, needs to be just developed, opened up, that's all. Our goal is we should be 24 hours Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada says, be 24 hours Krishna conscious. That seems a bit much, actually. Like, how is it even possible? How is it even possible to be 24 hours Krishna conscious? Or 24 hours anything, for that matter? 24 hours Krishna conscious? What about the 7 or 8 hours when I'm sleeping? This sounds like this 24-hour thing. It sounds like just some poetic expression that can never be reached. It's just like a fantastical thing that cannot be practical. The Prabhupada meant it in a very practical way. 24 hours Krishna consciousness. That's our goal, 24 hours. Actually, 24 hours with love, with affection. Those of you who are in this audience who are mothers can tell you this 24-hour love and affection is not only possible, it is unavoidable. I know for a fact that this is true. I have a little son, his name is Madan. And I remember when he was just a baby, very small, a few months old, maybe a year. Even in her sleep, his mother would put her hand out like this, like her eyes would be closed, but she'd say, Mother, Mother. And in her sleep, and then she'd go back, like her eyes are closed. But she just makes sure he's sleeping safely. She's in deep sleep, by the way, okay? I'm not kidding you. She's very deeply asleep. But amazingly, her love is so deep that she can't help but keep checking up on him, even in her sleep. If this is possible in this world because of the love that's a natural bond, certainly when we develop enough affection for Krishna, we can indeed be Krishna conscious 24 hours. Yes, it's possible. Because when you're in love, it's not just possible, it's unavoidable. You see? Okay, fine. So how can I jump, just like go all the way to that level of Krishna consciousness and selflessness and all that? 24 hours Krishna. How can I do that? From where I am right now today, how can I just make that leap? Is it feasible? Is it doable? So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Shanai Shanai Rupramed Buddhyadriti Grihitaya Atma Samstham Manah Kritva Na Kinchidapi Chintayet. He says, gradually, gradually, step by step. You're not going to jump. There's no way. But we know what the goal is. We know the goal is to be 24-hour Krishna conscious, to be focused on him completely. So he says, Shanai Shanai, gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance. Trance means complete absorption in love. By means of intelligence sustained by full conviction. Intelligence, we have our intellectual capacities. Combine that with a conviction. No, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the most intelligent way of doing it. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone. Self-realization. Focusing on Krishna. Here the self is capital S, Atma Samstam. Capital S means super self, super soul. And should think of nothing else. It's called super consciousness. Super soul absorption in Krishna is known as super consciousness. They fix on the self and think of nothing else. So Krishna says these are baby steps. We need baby steps that we can take to come to the level of being 24 hours Krishna conscious. So what are these baby steps that we need to take? 1, work for Krishna. Right? 2, practice the processes of bhakti yoga. Hearing, chanting, festivals, feasting. So many practices are there in Krishna consciousness. And then think of Krishna, point number 3. Think of Krishna as often as possible, even at work. I think, oh yeah, but how can I think of Krishna? But I need to focus on my work. Now, trust me, I know nobody thinks, even at work, 100% focused stream of consciousness on their work. Maybe half an hour at a stretch, you can work, and then you take a break, you look around, okay, now we need to drink something hot. That time you can think of Krishna. As you walk to get up, comes hot water or something. Think of Krishna as often as possible. In fact, some of the most profound Krishna conscious thoughts can come in the middle of a work meeting. Like, for example, you've been struggling with something and somehow the idea comes to you, this is going to be the solution. And you feel so happy. Now, if you want to take that happiness to the nth degree, you just realize, my Lord Krishna, that was you. You gave me this idea. Oh my God, I can't believe you're helping me at work also. The only reason I'm able to get my work done is because of you. It takes 1 second to make that realization, and your happiness will go to the next level completely. This is called thinking of Krishna as often as possible, with gratitude, even at work. Then, of course, chanting process is the essence of Bhakti Yoga. We work hard at getting better in our chanting. There's no limit to how much we can improve in our chanting process. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. These are baby steps, okay? But we have to take all of them. Then we also want to plan our whole arc of our lives. We should plan our lives. Some people have this idea, I will retire here, I'll buy that house there, I'll invest here, and I'll make sure my children are set. There's so many things we plan. It's fine, very good, plan very nicely. But plan it to gradually move the balance of our lives to more simplicity and deeper Krishna consciousness. If you plan with that goal, you'll be happier gradually. Otherwise, we just make our lives more complicated and more miserable. So think along those lines when you plan the rest of your years, the next 1 year, next 5 years, next 20 years. However you're planning it, make Krishna consciousness your goal. Make a depth of Krishna consciousness a key aspect of your life's plan. And then point number 6 is very powerful. Share Krishna consciousness with others wherever possible, wherever appropriate, wherever you meet. Jare dakho, tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. Amar agyay guru haya tara idesh. You all become gurus, Mahaprabhu says. All of you become gurus and you deliver your local region. Tara Edesh. Edesh means your local area. Wherever you're living, if you're living in India, in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, or you're living in New Jersey, it doesn't really matter. Wherever you are, share with others, share your good fortune. You'll feel so much nicer. That's selfless, and you'll be uplifted. These are the key lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. So how do I work? How do I work for Krishna? We all have to work. We cannot stop for even a moment. Krishna says that in the Gita. So do actual direct service for Krishna. We know there's so many direct services. Like, for example, a simple thing like if you go and just clean a place where Krishna is being worshipped, or you go out, knock on some doors and share, hey, our good fortune. This is direct work for Krishna. Hey, there's a Bhagavad Gita we're offering for everyone to read. Please take it. I think it'll change your life. Those kind of nice things we can do. And of course, we go out and do work because we have to maintain our families. We have to pay the rent, or pay the mortgage. So we have to go out and do some work. All of us have to do that. So give some of the fruits of that labor to Krishna. It purifies our work when we give our fruits to Krishna. Even some of it. Some percent if we give to Krishna, it purifies what remains also in the bank balance. We give it with the right consciousness, the right motivation for the right purpose. Because all our fruits, if we do them just for ourselves, then they'll be contaminated with the karma that we talked about earlier. So give some of that to Krishna. And of course, we have a Bhakti Yoga practices. Start chanting Japa and Kirtan. If you're not already doing Japa, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Mala, take up a mala and just chant Hare Krishna. If you've never done it, do one a day. Try to increase it. In ISKCON, we have a standard of doing 16 rounds a day. It's not bad. Like a million people in the world do 16 rounds a day. It's not the end of the world. It's very nice. It's very uplifting, very satisfying. So do it. And engage in Kirtan whenever Kirtan is happening and you have time, you're available. Take out the time, go out, go and dance like this, either in the street or in the temple or in someone's home. We have these gatherings. Sing Hare Krishna, dance. Good for the soul, it's good for the mind, it's good for the intelligence, good for the body. All around good for you. Then hearing and reading. What we're doing today, we are hearing the message of the Bhagavad Gita from the best teacher of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada, who's given us the clearest understanding of Bhagavad Gita available. So we hear and read his books, discuss them, try to increase our depth. Maybe take some courses, we have Bhakti Shastri courses, where you really kind of force your mind to understand it because you have to pass the exam. It's really nice. It's very uplifting. So do that. Serve the deity and the devotees. So many things. But these are the key Bhakti Yoga processes. All these are lessons from the Gita. Practical engagement in Krishna consciousness. It's all doable. So how do I think of Krishna? First thing on waking up. Krishna, wow. Okay. Thank you, Krishna. I woke up today. There's some people who are not going to wake up today. We are lucky that we woke up. Make it the last thought before sleeping and at all times in between, even at work. Like I said, how many of us are really focused 100% at work? Sometimes we're just chilling. We think of something. We're going to daydream. Let that daydream be about Krishna. Let's 1 2 minute daydream. You don't have to daydream about what I'm going to do if I make this much money and how will I enjoy. No, it's no point. It's a waste of mental energy, waste of time. Yes, our mind needs a break from work sometimes. Let that break be infused with Krishna, you'll feel refreshed. Just like a young person in love. When that person, like this fellow here, right? He's sitting at the office desk, but he just got engaged and he's going to get married in 3 months. And he's just like, yeah, he can't stop thinking of his wife or wife-to-be. So every now and then, this young person, he'll think of his beloved and he'll smile. So we can develop the habit of thinking of Krishna between things and smile. What kind of thoughts? We can think about appreciation. We can think about gratitude. We can think about so many glories of the Lord. We can think about his hand in our life, which is very nice. My God, Krishna, you arranged this for me, you arranged that for me. And somehow I came to Krishna consciousness. It's wonderful. Krishna is listening to our thoughts. And if we feel we want to, sometimes we can get in a negative space. Even apparently negative thoughts can be used in Krishna service, like regret and remorse. Sometimes we like to wallow. But instead of wallowing in regret and remorse, we can just think, oh, my Lord, I wasted my time my whole life. I could have done Krishna consciousness, but I'm going to be your servant now, better and better. I'm going to work harder. Yes, yeah, I had addictions to things. I still have some addictions, but please, my Lord, help me come through them. I regret so much not having done more. These kind of things, even though sound negative, are actually very uplifting. We can pray for strength to be better. All these things are very good for our Krishna consciousness. Think of Krishna as much as possible. And we should really take up japa, work at improving our japa. This is the most significant practical thing we can do daily. We chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So wake up early, sit properly. Shri Prabhupada said in the japa tape, sit properly. Focus on the sound. Set aside a good time and place. Practice absorbing the mind and offer our feelings of heart to the Lord. If we work on this, getting better and better and better, we'll get so much more out of our japa time. And then we talk about planning the future. Our lives can only have meaning if Krishna is the most important aspect of our lives. Otherwise, it's a wasted opportunity. It is a travesty. So we plan our future, next 1 year, next 5 years, to increase absorption in the practice of Krishna consciousness. We want to develop positive spiritual aspirations. I hope I can go and visit the holy dhams, in the future, more often. When I go there, I hope I can serve the sadhus and the great devotees, and I can take darshan, and I can get the blessings of the holy dham and the blessings of the Vaishnavas. I hope that by the time, 5 years from now, I've learned so much more about Krishna's beautiful pastimes, Krishna's wonderful teachings, Srila Prabhupada's amazing life, his amazing example. We aspire for these things, and we want to make a practical long-term plan so that we can add this in a systematic way to our lives. And then I mentioned sharing with others. So we want to share, we give our experience with other people, give encouragement, set a good example for the children. There's a famous saying by one of our ancient mystics. He says, always preach, and if necessary, use words. Means preaching doesn't always mean talking, just being, like you're setting an example for the children. You set a good example for the children, and you set a good example for others to see, wow, this person, she is such a wonderful mother, she's a wonderful caretaker of the home, she's a wonderful worker, and she's a great devotee. When people see that it's practical and doable, they'll want to be like you. They'll want to add Krishna into their lives, just like you are doing. That is called preaching. So it says, always preach, if necessary, use words. We preach to our children. But, most of us who are parents, we know children don't listen to what we say. Very rarely they listen. But they watch carefully what we do. That's preaching. We don't need to tell our son or daughter, okay, now you go and bow down to Krishna. No. You bow down, and as they watch you, they'll bow down. You don't need to tell them. So if I bow down every day and I'm smiling when I get up after bowing down and I thank the Lord, children will watch us. They take cues from what we do. That's the real preaching. And then our other friends will watch us. We can give encouragement to others. Even though we may not be 100% there, but we can try to build up ourselves while helping others build up themselves. And then we share our thoughts, our understanding, our experience that's infused with our actual realizations. And it'll have a lot of impact, So this is, in essence, some of the key lessons from Bhagavad Gita. How we can be in this world like the lotus leaf and not become wetted by the sinful reactions. Otherwise, it's just misery in this life, misery in the next life, chaos. But when we add Krishna, then our lives are successful. And gradually, we will continue moving upwards until we have reached full perfection. And not only we are happy, but those around us become happy. And we can affect others in a positive way while reaching the full potential of this human form of life that Krishna has given us. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much once again for this opportunity to share some thoughts on Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, how to apply Krishna consciousness, or how to live, or how to work for Krishna, or any practical challenges to do that, you can open up. Madan Gopal Prabhu and Manasi Ganga Mataji, they are preaching for the last 30-40 years, and they are exemplary. Yes, Naveen Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have one question, Prabhuji, on 1 second, Prabhuji. My question is, Krishna says, Teshamevanukham partha aham agnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto gnanadipena bhasvata. Okay. In the 10th chapter, that's what Krishna says, that I will, out of compassion, I will actually destroy the ignorance, and I will nashayami atma bhavasto gnanadipena bhasvata. I will light the lamp of knowledge or the wisdom. That is out of compassion. That's what he's lighting, the lamp of wisdom. So that being the position, that's what Krishna is saying. So gnana, that's the word, that's the shabda that is used. Gnana dipena bhasvata, not bhakti dipena bhasvata. I'm not opposed to bhakti. But that's so. Out of devotion leads to knowledge. So when devotion leads to knowledge, then in I think in 3.3, why is actually knowledge actually said as speculative activity? So can you please help me understand, Prabhuji?
Yes, very good question. Very good question. So this is very interesting, and it's a good question because the verse you quoted, 10:11, is a very key verse. It's one of the 4 key verses of Bhagavad Gita. It's called the Chatur Shloki, right? In the Chatur Shloki, just before that verse, before 11 is verse number 10, where Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. So what he's saying is that if you want to come to me, yena mam upayantite, for those who want to come to me, they need a pathway, they need an understanding. They need to direct their buddhi, but their buddhi will not come automatically. I have to give them that buddhi. It says, Dadami buddhi yogam. I give them the buddhi. Give who? Who qualifies for this incredible gift of buddhi yoga? Very rare gift. Krishna says, to qualify for that, he says, Tesham satata yuktanam. Those who are constantly connected with me. Satata means all the time. Like they know I want Krishna. Somehow Krishna is my goal. I don't know everything, but I know Krishna is my goal. And bhajatam priti purvakam. You see, so the affectionate, loving service is bhakti yoga. Priti means affectionate love and your whole heart. So those who understand that I am the goal, and to reach that goal, they dive with all the love and they're constantly connecting with me. To that person, I give them this incredible gift. Buddhi means understanding. And once you understand how to go somewhere, then you'll get there. Tadami buddhiyogam tam yena mam abhyanti. Then he says, okay, fine, I'll give them understanding by which they can come to me. But beyond that, like buddhi yoga, which is like the ability to know what to do, what not to do, he goes also beyond that. I give another gift also that he gives in verse number 11 that you quoted. Tesham evanu kampartam. So remember, these verses are connected, because when he says Tesham who? The ones who are mentioned in verse number 10. And verse number 10 is about Priti Purvakam, you see. So they are very connected, these verses. So any ajnana that may be left over in their heart, I bring the lamp and they will know everything, what to do, what not to do. So not only will they have the intellect, but they'll also have the knowledge. Not only will they have the analytical capability, but they'll also have the information. Those are two different things. You see?
Correct, Prabhu. I completely understand. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to go back now to your
Bhakti leads to Gnana. Okay. So now in 3.3, Lokesmin dvividha nishta pura prokta mayanagha gnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. So Krishna has clearly differentiated two sets of people. That Sankhya, for the Sankhya people, I have given Gnana. And for the ordinary people like us who have like me, who has not directly, I have not directly jumped into sannyasa. I'm going through Gruhastha, and because I have not really, there are some people who can, who sees the futility of the world at a very young age. So I'm not like that. I'm like Arjuna, who has married, and I'm then seeking and then noticing the impermanence of this world, and then that gnana is coming, and then I'm going. So that is the karma yoga for the yogis. So Krishna has clearly differentiated. But gnana, I'm not sure why is it actually translated as a speculative activity, which gives a very negative connotation to whole gnana, because there you're saying gnana is that you will through which you will understand me. But here in 3.3, you're saying it's a speculative activity. So
I'm coming to that. I was just coming to that. Yes, I got your point. I was just coming to that. So here, if you look at 3.3, right, 3.3, he says there are two types of people. Okay, there are two kinds of people. Some are inclined. Some will not be satisfied unless they wrestle with their empirical philosophical speculation. They'll not be satisfied.
Oh. That's okay. Okay, go ahead, Prabhuji.
You see, that's what he's saying. What he's saying, if you look, some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotion. Now, remember, the word speculation has a positive and negative connotation. That part needs to be understood. I think that's where the confusion lies. Okay.
Yeah.
Prabhupada has said mental speculation is useless. Prabhupada said philosophical speculation will lead to Krishna. Did you know that? So, mental speculation is different from philosophical speculation. That needs to be understood. Philosophical speculation means, okay, this knowledge is there in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of the world, what are the 24 elements, how they interact with each other. If I wrestle with those abstract concepts while also trying to understand and put it into context with what I am seeing in the world, that effort is known as philosophical speculation. It is not a negative thing. That's why Prabhupada distinguishes. If you search in Prabhupada's many instruction letters, he is distinguishing mental speculation with philosophical speculation. Philosophical speculation means this idea of grappling with these concepts. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, it's like, it's okay, I got it. It's all Krishna. Ultimately, you see, either you come the path of grappling. I cannot be satisfied unless I understand every single of the 24 elements, how they work with each other. Whereas those who are inclined to devotional service, like, no, that's okay. Maybe I don't understand all that. One thing I understand, Krishna is the goal, and I need to develop affection for him. So the grappler also reaches the conclusion.
Okay.
And the devotional person also reaches the conclusion. But the grappler will take a little longer time. That's what Krishna is saying.
I understand totally, Prabhuji, that you're talking about philosophical speculation, which is not the mental speculation. I completely agree on that point, and I I mean, thank you for that point. But in order to say that it's an indirect path, it is indirect is not Shabda. That indirect Shabda, which word actually, if you don't mind, which word in the shloka gives as indirect? Because he's just saying there are two type of people I have given. He's saying.
Yes, yes. So, like he says, and if you read the purport, Prabhupada explains the indirect process.
The purport is okay, Prabhu. I'm talking about Shabda.
Yeah. See, what I'm saying is Jnana Yogena is that what Prabhupada calls it, the Sankhya, Sankhya, the aspect of trying to speculate your way. Now, what makes it indirect? Okay, so now indirect, that word indirect is used in the purport to explain this thing.
Purport is that is Prabhupada's wisdom. That is okay. I'm talking about in the Shabda. Where is in the word? Because we have to take everything from the. Is there a pramana that says that it is indirect way of coming to me?
Take this question. It's going out of context. Is anybody has any other questions related to today's verse? Okay. Yeah, Naveen Prabhu, I enrolled you in one detailed study of Bhagavad Gita where we are discussing 4 commentaries. So you please join that course. We will discuss more details.
I want to just say once like this whole thing. I want to just say I'll quote Bhagavad Gita Pramana itself.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam Vada Pravadatam Aham. So whatever discussion we do, ultimate logic analysis, even Prabhupada says, the logical analysis that I am. So there is nothing wrong, Prabhu. That's what I'm trying to tell. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
If I'm wrong, please correct me, Prabhu.
No, you're not wrong. We have to grapple through these things because these doubts have to be removed. But certainly, let's also try to stay on the topic as well. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Anybody has any practical questions to keep Krishna in the center and work for Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Sure, Hare Krishna.
While in this process of practicing remembering Krishna all the time, 24 hours, if at all we are again and again being trapped by the Maya more than before, because we are trying to endeavor, so we are also getting more and more challenges. And when we are losing the hope or when we are tired or something, how can we overcome that? How we can be enthused again to continue our practice?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's true. A lot of the times when we take up the process of Krishna consciousness, we may feel even more trapped in Maya than even before sometimes. I'll give an example. That when you decide, okay, you know what, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this complicated life. My house, it's such a mess. I've had enough. I'm not going to live in a messy house anymore. I am now going to do deep Maha cleanup, completely, deep clean. So that is the process of Bhakti Yoga, right? Deep cleaning of my house. You take out everything from the closet, you take out everything from the attic, you say, I want to sort through everything. I'm going to go through Marie Kondo and the whole thing here. I'm just going to see what I need, what sparks joy in my life, everything else I'm going to throw out. It's a whole big effort. Huge. Now, you put everything on your living room floor that was in your whole house because that's the biggest space you have and you're going to start sorting things out. Now, when you're in the middle of it and you get tired, you get even more overwhelmed. Oh my God, this is even worse than before. Before, at least things were hidden away. Now everything is out here. But, if you persist now that you've started with the process, once you'll be done, just keep going at it. It's okay. I know it seems a little messy now. It's more confusing now than before. But when I'll be done, I'll finally be able to breathe. I'll have got rid of all the useless nonsense I don't need in my life. I've organized what I need in my life, and you'll feel so much better. But when you're going through it at that time, it can be very, very difficult, you see. So we can recognize when we are practicing our Krishna conscious process, a lot of these things come out of our attic and our closet. We didn't even know they were there, and we have to face them. And it may be that you may think you didn't have it, but it's just coming out because you're doing the Maha cleanup. That's all. So don't think that the Krishna conscious process created these anarthas. No, the Krishna conscious process has brought them forward for you to deal with them and clean them out. So if you look at it from that point of view, you realize and thank Krishna. Oh, Krishna, wow, I didn't know I had that in my attic. I didn't know I had that in my heart. Whew, I have to deal with it. Thank you for that. And please, my Lord, give me the strength to deal with this anartha, to deal with this issue. And we can pray, and we can also see, hopefully, we can be more hopeful that, yes, now things are moving, yes, gradually, by your mercy, my Lord, I will deal with this also, this sense of Maya, this particular attachment, this particular addiction, this particular bad habit. I didn't even know I could snap at other people with so much anger, but now I'm doing it. Wow. It's like after becoming devotee, I become more Durvasa. No. I need to deal with this. I need to deal with this. Thank you, my Lord, for showing me the mirror. Before that, we are hiding all these things. That's all. So if you look at it from that perspective, we can be appreciative. We can be more holistic in our approach. And we can also get guidance from other devotees on how to deal with them. That's what this society is about. We get guidance from those who are more advanced, more experienced. And also to those devotees with whom we can connect. There are maybe very advanced devotees, but maybe we cannot connect with them because we understand how they speak and so on. So our prerogative, our imperative in this process is to seek like-minded, progressive association and guidance from devotees who can help us, and also turn to the Lord in the heart. And that's how we can increase our hope when we're feeling hopeless, like you mentioned, right? You feel hopeless, know what to do. It's even worse than before. But we can recognize that the process is going to work. So trust the process. Trust the process. Be consistent. Be enthusiastic. Have determination and have patience. I'm sure you recognize those words from Nectar of Instruction. These six,
Yes,
right? These 6 things will ensure complete success. So utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, and so on.
Thank you.
Great question.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So I saw Vanisha Mataji had her hand up earlier. Vanisha Mataji wanted to ask something.
Yes. Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay?
Yes, this is good.
Okay, good. Please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I just wanted to follow up on the third point when you gave the 4 points about what we can do at work. And you said that one of them was to please Krishna and we need to know what he likes. And was wondering if you could say more about what he likes in the context of us at work.
Yes. Very good point. Of course, we know what he likes to eat, for example. So that's right. We know he likes to eat sattvic food. We know he likes to eat food that's pure and clean and offered, cooked with love and so on. So that part we know. But in the Bhagavad Gita, he also gives us clues of other things that he likes. Like, for example, he says, the mode of goodness is illuminating. Okay, mode of goodness is a platform by which we can make progress in spiritual life. Mode of goodness itself is not spiritual, but it's a platform by which we can make progress in spiritual life. Similarly, like the food in mode of goodness is what we can offer to Krishna. We can't offer like ignorance and meat and other things that we can offer, right? That's very clear. But if we use the framework of the 3 modes and we understood the clue that Krishna prefers things in the mode of goodness, then we'll see Krishna has given so many categorizations of, say, for example, speech in the mode of goodness. At work, we speak, right? So if at work we realize, okay, I should speak in the mode of goodness even with my coworkers. It should be beneficial. It should be pleasing. It should not be harsh. So these are the qualities of speech in the mode of goodness. That'll please Krishna. Because you tell him, my Lord, you taught me this in Gita, I'm going to apply it here. It'll please him. The austerity in the mode of goodness, whereas austerity, because our work requires some kinds of austerities too, and so we do the positive thing. So similarly, sacrifice, charity, these are all components of how we work in the world. So we can do that. And ultimately, of course, we want to focus on giving our fruits to Krishna, getting our guidance from Krishna, and so on. Be more prayerful to the Lord. So there's different ways where we can incorporate the framework of moral goodness and other things, like, for example, Krishna says, Tasmad yudhyasya kon, mam anusmara yudhyacha. Tasmad uttishta konteya, mam anusmara yudhyacha. Okay, now wake up, Arjuna, or stand up, Arjuna, and fight. Mam anusmara yudhyacha, but always remembering me, thinking of me, you fight. So that's another aspect. Krishna loves it when we think of him while we are fighting. Our work is fighting, not literally, but hopefully some of us have literally fighting. Those are soldiers or police, they have to literally fight. But it's hard work. We have to fight with ourselves, fight other people, but we can do it in a Krishna conscious way. Anusmara. So the Bhagavad Gita is a great framework to get clues what pleases Krishna, what will displease him, and so on. Great question, Banisha Mataji. Hare Krishna. We have Ajit Prabhu is raising his hand. Hare Krishna.
Question basically, though it may be silly. Prabhuji, one question is regarding, let's say, a thief doing his profession, thinking about, like, let's say, I'll stolen something and then I'll offer the Lakshmi, like I'll prepare the prasadam and offer it to Lord, all those stuff in that consciousness. So is it doing the right thing? So if that's not the right thing as per Veda, then let's say we are working in an organization who is not doing pious activity for society, then if we are thinking about Lord Krishna, like we are earning money for doing charity or devotional service, then how we are going to get entangled in that? Whether we are in the proper way of doing, or we should quit that organization? How should be our?
Okay, I caught a little bit of that. I'm trying to see if I can piece that together. Okay. So you mentioned in our profession, but a thief, being a thief, if I heard you correctly, is not a profession. In our profession, Krishna also describes professions, by the way, in the Bhagavad Gita. He describes different professions that are valid professions. So most of the professions in the world fall under those categories. Krishna says Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, like that, right? Kshatriya. So even in modern world, we have professions that sort of line up with those. Maybe not exactly. Sometimes it's like a little bit off. Some of them are generally more sinful in this modern Kali Yuga world, but still they're professions. A thief is not really a profession. Now you may say, yeah, well, I mean, you're charging so much for this car. That's like broad daylight robbery. That's not really robbery. It's just this way you're doing a business. You can decide that, So you have to think of it that way. You have to understand. Now, if you're actually going and breaking into people's houses while they sleep and stealing their money, that's not a profession. That is just a crime. See. Now, there have been in the history of our movement people who have made money illegally. That's those kind of things. And they came to Krishna consciousness. They gave their money to Krishna. They did. They're like way back, I think in the 70s or something. There was like this massive like gang that were dealing in drugs and stealing and things like that. And then they came and gave like, $30,000 to the temple. So you guys are doing good work. Is that good or not? Well, I mean, they just put it in the hundi, so that's fine. We don't really care. But at the same time, we don't condone what they do. We don't appreciate the kind of work that went into it, So yeah, being a thief is not really a good profession. Also, there are certain things that are professions in this world that are considered acceptable professions, but they're not good if we decide to become Krishna conscious. Certain professions like being a butcher, I'm going to be cutting the throats of cows and goats and things like that. It's considered a hardworking, honest profession in this world, in America or whatever, even in India. Hey, it's just working hard. But that it's so much infused with sin, you're cutting the throats of cows every day. it will not be good for your Krishna consciousness. Those certain professions need to be completely given up. Completely. If you figure out something else, you have to figure out something else. Murdering the mother as a profession is not a profession. So certain things need to be evaluated quite deeply. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu, for asking that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, one more question. So let's say if we're doing chanting for a couple of rounds, so we can feel that, I mean, more conscious while chanting, like I can say quality of chanting. If we are increasing the round, then that is getting down. So what is the key to, handle the situation?
Yes, good question. So sometimes, of course, we need quantity also. Quality is very important, but we need quantity also. Both are important. It's not that quantity is not important. Quantity is very important too. So yes, if we're having difficulty raising the quality, we need to look into ways we can raise quality. There's different. I actually did a few weeks ago a 7-hour or 6-hour seminar all in one day on how to improve the quality of our japa. And we can also do a 3-day seminar on that. There's no end to how much you can do to improve the quality of your japa. So that needs work, no question about it. But you cannot say that, okay, 2 rounds of very good quality. If quality is much, I'll just do 1 or 2 rounds. That's it. What's the point of doing 16 rounds at low quality? So it's like saying that, okay, I'll get you the best quality rice grown in the foothill of Himalayas, cooked in spring water and topped with the best ghee from New Zealand, and very, very nice, first class, nice bowl I put in front of you. But you can only take 3 grains from that high quality rice. What is the use? You won't even get to your throat. You'll just stuck in your teeth. So quantity is also required. At least, 1 bowl you need. So both are important. Otherwise, you don't get the nourishment. It's very, very important. So those they need to be balanced. You need to balance the work on both of them. You need enough quality, enough quantity. You need enough intensity in your practice. Otherwise, you won't get very far. Yeah. Good question, though. All right. Lalit Govind Priya Mataji has a question here on the chat. Could you share thoughts on 1847 shloka in context of working for Krishna? It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation performing perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected. Yes. So that's an important point. What does it, first of all, even mean, your own occupation versus somebody else? What does that even mean? Isn't it? So there's different thoughts in this. But in general, Krishna has described the particular occupations for people in different levels of modes, isn't it? So we have to evaluate ourselves in which mode is more prominent for us, which occupation makes more sense for us. Sometimes it takes some wisdom. It takes some guidance from seniors to understand what makes sense, what is considered my occupation, and so on. That's important to know. Why? Because the modes that are prominent in us, they are conditioning us in such a deep way that we cannot help but act in that mode. Krishna says, one cannot help but act in the mode that he's acquired. So certain conditioning we have is so deep, it's just not possible to make changes to that conditioning in this life. It's not possible. And even Krishna acknowledges that. But you can leverage that situation by finding an occupation that is in line with that deep conditioning. You see, that's why Krishna says there's a Shudra, there's the Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmana, all these. And even within them, there's subcategories. Like within Brahmanas, there's different kind of Brahmanas. The Brahmanas who are teachers, there's some Brahmanas who are more into Yajna, some Brahmanas more into Pujari. There's like 30 different kinds of Brahmanas. Some Brahmanas give advice to the kings. Not all of them are not all the same. So similarly, you have to find your niche based on what your conditioning is. That's how that is. And then you don't try to perform other people's duty. You don't poke your nose in other people's business. Stay in your lane, so that society can work functionally and you don't get into fights unnecessarily. Arjuna was saying in the beginning, it's better to beg than to fight my guru. Guru nahatvahi mahanubhavam shreya bhoktum bhiksham api haloke. I'd rather beg than do this fighting job. I can't stand it. And Krishna, okay, fine. Go, beg. Arjuna goes to the beggar's line. He's sitting in the beggar. He's big muscles, but he's sitting with the other skinny beggars like this, and he has a little bowl, like, that's all he has. All he owns is a bowl and his big muscles. And the other beggars are there. Then some guy comes and puts, some coin in one beggar. He puts another coin, and then he puts one coin to Arjuna. Then one beggar number A, beggar number 1, he steals the coin from beggar number 2. Just takes the coin, right? And beggar number 2 says, "Oh man, come on! Again, you took my coin again today. You did the same thing last week, man." And beggar number 1 says, "So what are you going to do about it?" Arjuna hears this. "Hey, what is going on over here? This is unfair. It's unfair. I've been doing this all my whole life. This is what I do. Hey, don't you dare take that other beggar's coin. What are you going to do about it?" Arjuna lifts his ball, is about to smash the other beggar. And then Krishna comes and says, "See, even the beggar, you can't stop protecting dharma. You can't stop fighting. This is your conditioned nature. So don't beg. You actually pick up your weapons and fight. Use your conditioning to the right place. You don't do somebody else's job. You're disturbing peace among the beggars also. They're fine. Stay in your lane." You understand? So this is the point here. Your deep conditioning, identify where you'll be sane, where you add value to society, where you add, at the same time, you leverage your conditioning to move upwards toward Krishna consciousness, because everybody has a right to Krishna. But if you misapply your conditioning, that causes this disturbance. Lalit Govinda Mataji, I hope that helps. It's like a summary of the answer I wanted to give. All right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. We have Manisha Mataji's hand up there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question regarding Krodha. As how to handle the Krodha when we are the devotee of Krishna. What we think that most of the time it subsides. As whenever I try to subside this and I think about Krishna also, it doesn't subside most of the time. So how to control it? That's my question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Krishna describes the 4 gates to hell. What are the 4 gates to hell? Kama, Krodha, right? Like
Lobha.
Lobha, right? Like this, all this, right?
Mada.
Yeah. Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. There's so many. So these are, among those, Krodha is one of the most difficult ones. Even Arjuna asked, by what is it that one is impelled to act against one's own will, knowing that I know better, I should not be doing this, but still I do it, and it's bad for me, it's bad for society, it's bad for others. So what is that force that's driving? Krishna says what? It says Kamesha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhava. Kama Esha, it's lust alone, of course. He also says Krodha Esha, which leads to wrath. So what is that Krodha? Where does it come from? Once the Krodha has started, like the manifesting, then you cannot stop it. It's very difficult. You see, it's not possible. So then we have to identify the root. What is the root of my constant anger? Why am I not at peace? Psychologists have grappled with this for a long time. And there's a whole industry around it called anger management, that they train you, you go there, you do some particular exercises, and you kind of learn to, breathe. Okay, when you feel the anger coming on, you breathe, you go somewhere else, you shout into a pillow. There are lots of palliative or superficial things we could do to reduce the pain of the anger, okay? But for us in Krishna consciousness, of course, those are also useful. Different exercises of anger management. You can Google it, anger management exercises. You'll find a bunch of them. They're very practical. They're useful. You can use some of them, okay? But for us, we want to go deeper into the root of our anger, where we'll find that the cause of it is what Krishna says, Rajo Guna Samudbhava. Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajo Guna Samudbhava. It is born from the mode of passion. It burns like fire. The lust and anger, they come hand in hand. See, it burns like fire. So what is Rajoguna Samudbhava? We need to understand this. Our Rajoguna is a conditioning for many lifetimes. The Rajoguna means, this mode of passion. And passion comes with a lot of things associated with it. So we need to shift the balance to the mode of goodness. Find ways to be sattvic in everything we do. As devotees, we want to add sattva gun in everything. How do I saturate myself with sattva gun? It starts with ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi, like that. So you start with what you eat. What you eat means the food, of course, only prasadam. You eat the consumption from your eyes and ears, what you watch on TV, what YouTube videos you watch, what you listen to, things like that. As they become more sattvic, even the kind of music you listen to, and the people you hang out with, then gradually learn to be peaceful. You chant deeper, you be more prayerful. In your prayers, you can chant to the Lord, pray to the Lord, my Lord, please help me overcome this anger, and so on. So those are different ways. And because it's a gradual process, you will not see the result right away. But over some time, people will see the results in you. We can learn to develop qualities that Krishna talks about, qualities, samdukha, sukha, dhiram. You become equipoised in sukha and dukkha. If you really learn to tolerate those, then the small sukha, dukkha, they won't irritate you anymore. Before they were very irritable, now they won't irritate you anymore. So as we meditate on what Krishna speaks, like kshami means forgiving. We should forgive big things, even small things. Forgive. So if you learn to be more forgiving, like really identify, I should forgive that. My kid is poking me like this, let's forgive, it's okay. Why don't you irritate about everything? It's fine. So if we develop some of those qualities, we cultivate more mode of goodness, then what happens? The angry wolf in our heart becomes weaker and more subsided. Because remember, we have two wolves in our heart. There's an ancient American Indian saying, Native American saying, that there's two wolves in our heart. One is a very bad wolf and one is a good wolf. And when they fight, when they start fighting, it's impossible to stop them fighting. And every now and then, sometimes the good wolf will win, sometimes the bad wolf will win. Now, how do you know which one is going to win? That wolf will win which you feed regularly. So the good wolf, you feed it very positive, sattvic things. And the bad wolf will not eat those. It can't stand those things. It avoids them. So the bad wolf becomes skinnier and become weaker. And the good wolf becomes stronger and stronger. So then when there's a fight, the good wolf will always win. So the fight is what to do. Should I shout at this person or not? But if the good wolf is strong, you say, no, this time I'm not going to shout. This time I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not going to lose my temper. Last time I did it, but no more. I've had enough. Because a good wolf has become very strong. Once they start fighting, you cannot determine you cannot stop it. But long before the fight, if you feed it the good things, you see, then the good wolf will start winning. And when you start winning, gradually the anger will dissolve. Lust, greed, anger, envy, these things will start dissolving because your mind is now saturated with Krishna consciousness, with positive thoughts, and you're associating with the right people who rub off on you, who influence you to be a little bit calmer, less angry. It's not going to happen overnight, but we can make a plan to be more sattvic, and you will see it'll be better. Also, certain practical things: get enough sleep. Sometimes you're going to get enough sleep, then and even the best person will be losing their mind. So get enough sleep, eat nice food, stay healthy, maybe get a little walk, exercise, these kind of things. You'll be surprised how many wonders they will do for you. So those things are there. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Anyone?
Thank you very much for all the questions. If anybody has one last question, then we will wind up the session. Tulsi Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, how to preach effectively, mainly through online. So online preaching is very difficult, Prabhuji, to preach. So in person means we will get a devotee association, eating prasadam. This thing will help us to progress in bhakti more. But in online preaching, we are the only person to give association to them. So how to encourage them, how to make them progress in Bhakti Path, Prabhuji?
Okay, great question. Thank you very much. Yes. how to be effective. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. In person is obviously the best because you can, so many things don't get conveyed through online. Even if you have the best quality resolution and video and everything, so many things don't get conveyed because, first of all, we don't see everybody. So like right now, I'm not seeing most of us because most of the cameras off, and that's fine. It's not a problem. So that you lose a lot there. So you're absolutely right. In person is the best. Plus, you can have prasadam. After the class, you can joke around a little bit, get to know each other better. You can be a little more relaxed. You cannot do that in an online setting. Prior to Zoom, we used to have online classes that was only on the phone. That was even more impersonal. That was really difficult. Like you didn't know what the Prabhu would be looking like, or the Mataji looks like, and how their facial expressions are, and so on. So we lose a lot. So how to be more effective online during the pandemic, online preaching really took off, and it really worked. There's so many devotees who got tremendous benefit out of it. So many, very deep relationships were forged where the devotees were interacting online for years. And then after 3 years, they met for the first time in person. I've seen that. And they're so happy. Finally, same thing. I mean, I made so many friends and devotees, and I met them after 3-4 years in person. It's like amazing because it's like this person so well, and I can't believe we haven't met in person before. So online can be effective. It's not that it cannot. It's that we have to learn to connect to the needs, interests, and concerns of the audience. Keep those 3 things in mind. Understand the audience. What are their needs? What are their interests? And what are their concerns? Why would they even bother to come? And if somehow you put a poster and they came, do you still get a sense of their needs, interests, and concerns? Family members, people who are family people, right? They have children and they're working and all that. What are their needs? Their needs are maybe they want to learn something about their spiritual background. They want their children to be engaged in something. They want to improve their own selves. They want to understand our spiritual culture. Maybe they just want to understand how pujas are done. Who knows? If you get a sense of what their needs are. Suppose you invited 50 people. Out of that, 45 are really interested in puja in their home. But you don't talk about it because somehow you didn't connect. But if you realize, oh my God, so many people want to know about what is puja and archana, you can focus on that. You can bring that up and you can show how it is connected with Krishna. So if we get a sense of what people's needs, interests, and concerns are, then we can tailor our message. But the real main best way to preach, Mataji, and I mentioned earlier, is to genuinely be absorbed in Krishna consciousness yourself. Be happy in your Krishna conscious practice. When people see that satisfaction in your face, you don't need to say anything. They'll just see the happiness in your face and you smile. This Mataji is doing something special. I need to know what it is. Then even if you don't give a good presentation, half the things you forgot, doesn't matter. They'll stick to it because they know this Mataji has something special going on with her. So like that, the best way to preach is to be happy in your Krishna consciousness and be effective in that way. And be present for the devotees or those who audience, be there for them and give them all, share your full realizations. Try to, of course, other things like you can learn more verses, understand how to explain things better. That comes with experience, you will find that. But the most effective way is be happy in your own Krishna consciousness, understand the needs, interests, and concerns of your audience, and you can then advertise accordingly. In a poster, you can put the topic and the subtitle and so on. And then those who are interested in that particular topic will come and you can address it. So like that. There's different ways you can go about it. But if you keep those 2 things in mind, your own Krishna conscious practice and needs, interests, and concerns of your audience, you will find becoming more and more effective in your outreach and in connecting with people. All right? Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Madan Gopal Prabhu. Sorry, we took more time. It's 1 hour 30 minutes. Let's chant 3 times Madan Gopal Prabhu. He's very, very busy. Now he's dealing with so many issues with that, so many issues related to communication ministry. But still, he kindly gave his time for us. So let's thank him by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Also, Madan Gopal Prabhu is a Guru Pradaya. So if anybody interested to aspire or take shelter from him, please contact me. I will help you to connect him and to connect the process, whatever the required things. So please let me know. Thank you very much, Madan Gopal Prabhu, for your time.
Hare Krishna, thank you all for your invitation, and I look forward to spending more time with you and serving you wherever I can. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Hari Bol.
Vancha kalpatarabhyasya kripa sindhubhyo
Prabhupada.
Nam Bhavani Vaishnavi.